Let me introduce myself. I'm working as an AI transformation consultant, especially on the human side of AI transformation, helping companies how to be more productive, innovative, creative with the help of generative AI. And I'm also pursuing my AI Ethics and Society master's program in Cambridge University. And today I will be talking about where I'm seeing mostly during my training sessions and consultancy sessions, why AI investments is not why we are not getting return on investment in AI transformation. So this is, I want to talk where organizations are getting generative AI wrong, and how we can do deep integration to get the real change. So before starting, I want you to look at this chart. I mean, I think we're still discovering, experimenting on generative AI. We still didn't really understand how we can make use of it. You can see that in 2024, the use cases are different, and in 2025 also changing. I mean, generating ideas, for example, was in the first part, but it stepped down in 2025. So this is how we see generative AI recently. I mean, just on experimenting on the surface. And I hear this from a lot of executives, top executives, that they are seeing that. I can't see major transformational change in my teams. I mean, I invested a lot on generative AI tools, but there are still, the work people are doing is the same way. I mean, we're not seeing real transformation, but just a few extra tools. This is an interesting chart. It shows us how we are interested in artificial intelligence. It's showing enthusiasm for artificial intelligence. A lot of companies, different companies, are really interested and enthusiastic, not companies, countries interested in generative AI. Turkey is the most enthusiastic country in the world. And can you see where UK stands here? The least interested, enthusiastic country in the world. So we can see a lot of countries are enthusiastic. They are trying, experimenting on generative AI, but do we really see growth or a difference or improvement coming from this generative AI? Actually, few executives reporting real transformational improvements. Only 3% of improvement in organizational efficiency is there, and only 4% in innovation. And because of this misplacement focus, there is a potential value lost each year, which is estimated about $98 billion. And this is more drastic, striking point that Gartner shows us. We are trying to make employees more productive using generative AI tools. We are trying to empower them individually, but it doesn't drive growth. It's zero growth. So what is the problem? I mean, why we are seeing this? So let me deep dive and show a couple of reasons, mistakes that we are doing. And these are not tactical errors. These are fundamental mistakes, understanding mistakes that we are doing as organizations. And the first mistake is the illusion of productivity. So 76% of executives are seeing increased individual employee productivity, which is we are just focusing on these days, is the metric, number one metric, indicator for success on investment in AI. I mean, so what does this mean? I mean, we are trying to make sure that people are using generative AI for saving time. So, for example, summarizing emails, right? But does this mean, I mean, summarizing email or writing reports in a short time create us a real value? I think it's not. I mean, the value is not coming from saving time. So does this personal productivity really contribute to organizational innovation? The question must be this. And also there is an interesting point here that when they compare focusing on personal productivity, where the other company is focusing on coordination, they see that there are 16% less innovation. When we just focus on personal productivity, individual productivity, there is no innovation gain here. So why is this problem? Because we're not integrating the generative AI into the processes. It's just still standalone tools that we expect from employees that they discover by themselves. But because it's not integrated into the workflows and metrics, return on investment, unfortunately, cannot be achieved. And here Gartner shows us, I mean, clearly, individual productivity with generative AI is not equal to corporate value. When we just focus on that individual part, we are putting the same input and expecting more output, but it's not the case right now. When you focus on the enterprise part and the focus on the effectiveness, that is the real value occurs. And the second mistake that I'm also witnessing firsthand is the illusion of competence. So when I do my presentations or the training sessions, I start the conversation, the session, asking this question. I mean, can you please evaluate yourself, self-evaluate, on the basis of 10, on a scale of 10, how you use generative AI or your knowledge of generative AI. Most of the people evaluate themselves as being in 6 to 9 out of 10. But after a 6-hour session, they just reduce their points and they say that, okay, now it wasn't the case. I wasn't that much competent. So AI proficiency report also shows us that case. I mean, 50% of people, employees, knowledge workers, self-identify themselves as proficient. However, I mean, the case is not like this. Only 10% of workforce is truly proficient. And also, we are just experimenting on the surface. We are not deep diving and understanding true performance of generative AI. So 88% of workforce still AI novice or still experimenting. And also this experimenting and using surface level has also a very dangerous impact. 42% of employees use AI outputs without double checking, without controlling. So they're doing this because they don't know how to double check, or they don't know how generative AI works actually. So they think that there is an real information out there and it is trustworthy. But last month, I mean, I'm not sure whether you see this news, but last month, very important incident happened to Deloitte. Deloitte had to repay Australian government $4,400,000 because of the report they used, they served to government. They used generative AI, and they didn't double check. And there were multiple errors, hallucinations, and wrong informations. So this may cause us real dangerous outputs and incidents. So we have to be very careful about this as well. So what is the solution? I think solution is changing our viewpoint, the paradigm shift. I mean, focusing on the total value. Because we are just focusing on employee productivity, individual productivity is not getting us total value. So we have to focus on the process effectiveness. The goal should not be making individuals more productive, but redesigning our workflows to achieve more higher output with fewer errors and shorter cycle times. And this report is from last year from Boston Consulting, and this is also very striking because it shows us the success, AI transformation success is not coming from technology. It's coming from people and process. And I want you to look at this part carefully. People and process is not a two different separate entities from this time on. We can't think them as separate. We have to, because AI is embedded into workflows and people and AI work together, we have to consider it together, not separate. So where is the total value is formed or coming from? So as I mentioned, we are using AI on the surface level, which is everyday AI. We're mostly investing on this part, but this isn't coming, gaining us value. So the value is coming in this middle part where human and AI work together, which is semi-autonomous part. So again, Gartner shows us, I mean, this doesn't gain much, but the largest opportunity is in this mid part. Now we are limiting AI investments in this individual employee productivity, but return on investment is on the part, the semi-autonomous part where we are also redefining our processes. So we have to, again, as I mentioned before, shift from individual productivity to the total value. We have to decide on which part we want to stay. So where this happens? So this total value occurs with creative synesthesia, which is, resulting from co-intelligence. What does this mean? I call this co-intelligence because, let me say in this way, I mean, AI has something that I don't have, and I have something that AI doesn't have. So when we together, human and AI, sit on a table and together and start collaborating, this is where innovation emerges. I'm not sure we still truly understand the true value of generative AI, how it can generate innovation. When we really work together with generative AI, innovation is happening there. Let me show you what does this co-intelligence, co-creation means. I mean, human beings can be slow at some point, and generative AI doesn't have ideas, but when we merge them together, now it's happening. So there are a lot of things that I can talk, but today, because of the time considerations, I want to show you just something about vibe coding. I'm not sure you have heard of vibe coding, but this means without any coding knowledge, but with your speech, with your descriptions, prompting, your ideas, you can create applications, websites, tools, games, whatever you want. So this is just an example that I have done. This is one of many vibe coding generative AI tools. And I described what kind of website I wanted. And with a lot of iterations, I perfected what I wanted. So it is a working tool, working website. It was Turkish previously, but with just a prompt, I made it, English as well. This is another example. This is an old example, but today we can do much better. You may have an idea. Oops. Oops. Can you help me? Is it working? Okay. So you have an idea. You just sketch it, draw it, or whatever talent you have, and put it, in this case, it was Gemini, and Gemini creates your idea. So we work together with generative AI. So this is a very good example of how we can co-create, co-produce with generative AI. But this isn't something that is easy. We need people who can make those connections and manage generative AI, prompt generative AI, describe their needs or ideas. So this is not something that happens in a minute. And another problem that we are not seeing is also a misconception. Is also we think that only entry level will be affected with generative AI in the organization. And organization scheme structure will not change. However, this is not the case. Organization structure is also changing, and all levels in the organizations are affected. And where this value actually occurs is in this mid part, where I call co-intelligence and human AI work together, co-create together with augmented humans, agents, bots, whatever it is. So let me wrap up what I have been talking about. We have to shift our focus from productivity per employee to value contribution per employee. And I see this is the case, so this is what I want to tell as well. The aim should not be to reduce the number of people, but increase the strategic impact of each person. So how can we start this one? Maybe changing the metrics first. I mean, we shouldn't be asking, did you save time using generative AI? Yes, I saved time by summarizing emails. This is not the case. We should be asking this question: what output did we produce as a team? Should be the question. So generative AI is not a technology project. We have to deal with it as a transformation project. And we have to integrate it into the processes, into the workflows, and let people, employees, design together how to work. I mean, let's say, for example, starting any project, asking this question: what will be the responsibility of AI and what will be the responsibility of human in this project? So this is how co-creation actually starts. So as a last question, lastly, to wrap up, I want to say that innovation is not coming in a shorter time with less labor. It comes with co-creation. AI cannot create innovation by itself, and a person can be slow, but together, this is where real transformation happens. So please ask yourself this question: am I really experimenting on the surface, or did we really integrate it deeply into the organization? And thank you for listening.